Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about anger, rage in context of borderline personality disorder. So if you're interested in such topics, then keep watching. So people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they actually might quite often display rage, anger, which is very unpredictable, really intense, and as well this anger and rage, they might appear really suddenly, but also they might actually disappear as suddenly. But then on the other hand, we might have a group of people as well who actually might be terrified to express any anger or frustration, because they are worried that if they were to express any anger or frustration, they might actually lose control over themselves. And actually Marsha Linehan, who's an expert in dialective behavior therapy, which is mainly used for people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, she actually used this amazing metaphor to kind of help us to imagine how people who suffer from borderline personality disorder experiencing emotions. So she actually compares them to people who suffered 90% of burns of their body. So she said that people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they're actually lacking emotional skin. So it's the same as if someone has a 90% of their body's burned. So with every movement, they feel this excruciating pain. And the same goes for people who suffer from borderline personality disorder when we think about, the emotions. So that means they're hypersensitive to emotions, and at the same time they have problem with regulating them, and that's why you can sometimes witness those outbursts of anger and frustration. So it might be that someone who suffers from borderline personality disorder, maybe they're under a certain level of stress at work, and maybe on a day they just start having this sense that maybe they're losing control, and that could be a trigger for them to actually display certain anger and rage at someone. And what might be happening is that perhaps maybe as a children, maybe they were abused, and only at some point maybe they came to realization that they can stop the abuser only with rage, only with anger. And perhaps now in adulthood, when they sense certain hostility from someone, that is when they try to protect themselves with the rage and anger that they needed to use towards the abuser when they were children. And also the other instance when someone who suffers from borderline personality disorder may also express anger and frustration, that instant and very intense anger is maybe in situations when they feel that someone wants to abandon them. So whenever they have this fear that someone's gonna leave them, they might again display the anger. However, they don't feel angry. They actually, the emotion that they might be experiencing at the time is actually fear. But it is so much easier actually to express anger rather than fear. When we're expressing fear, we're making ourselves more vulnerable, and perhaps that's why sometimes it might just feel very difficult to actually argue with someone who suffers from borderline personality disorder when they're in that state of expressing this really intense anger. And perhaps in those moments it might be more actually helpful and useful to actually express compassion and understanding of maybe them feeling fearful that someone's gonna lose them, rather than trying to argue rationally with them. And perhaps another interesting characteristic about the anger that is very specific for people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, it might be that when we imagine ourselves, when we feel that there's something unjust that has happened to us, we might then very often feel anger and frustration. But in order to feel that kind of anger, we need to have a sense of self. We really need to be connected to who we are and what we deserve, what we want. Where very often people who suffer from borderline personality disorder are actually lacking that sense of self, who they are. Therefore, the anger that they're gonna be displaying is not gonna be triggered because of sense of injustice. But like I said before, perhaps very often their anger would be triggered because of fear of being abandoned, for example. So yes, if you enjoyed this video, then please like it, subscribe, and if you have any questions, any suggestions, then just please leave them in a section below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.